verse 45. It says, but a temporary resident and a hired worker may eat of it. May not eat of it. So, God goes on to say that if there is a visitor from a foreign or strange country that a believer has hired to do a particular job for him in the fields, that man cannot partake of Holy Communion. Now, why is it that a person that's out in the world who is not a genuine Christian cannot partake of Holy Communion? Can anybody tell me? Well, he's not a Christian, but for something else besides that. They're in sin. What's another reason? Well, that's another reason. I'm talking about the person that's in the world, a foreigner. That comes from, say the foreigner is from India. Say the foreigner is from Iraq. Why can't they partake of Holy Communion? Because they worship another God. They're worshiping idols. No foreigner, no stranger from another country that professes to believe in a foreign God other than Yahweh can partake of Holy Communion. Because by partaking of Holy Communion, you're in essence saying, I'm in covenant with my Lord God Yahweh. Through the blood of Yeshua HaMashiach. Now I want you to go to verse 47. And we're going to be reading verse 47 through 49. The whole community of Israel must celebrate it. Notice, every Jew at that particular time had to celebrate the Passover. So spiritually speaking, what does that tell us? Huh?
All the Christians.
All believers, all Christians are supposed to partake of Holy Communion. The Lord's Supper. The Feast of Passover. Only genuine Christians, born again believers, can celebrate it. Now, we know for a fact that there are many people that call themselves Christians in churches that are partaking of Holy Communion. And as we continue reading, we're going to see what's happening to them. How the Lord is chastising them. How the Lord is punishing them. Although there are many within the Christian faith that do not believe that God punishes. And that's why they're in the condition they're in. Verse 48. Excuse me. An alien living among you who wants to celebrate the Lord's Passover or the Lord's Supper or Holy Communion must have all the males in his household circumcised. Okay, notice. If there is a person who is an alien from another country that wants to partake of Passover or Holy Communion, the rule, the law of God says he must circumcise all his servants. Now, by him wanting to partake of Holy Communion, that tells us that he was a proselyte. That tells us that he converted to the God of the Jews, who is the God of all the world. Some people say, well, that's the God of the Jews. I have a God for my nation, and I'm a Mexican. My God is a Mexican God. Or I'm an Indian, and my God is an Indian God. No. Yahweh is the God of all the people in the world. So there are times that foreigners who believe in other gods will enter the house of God, will hear the message of their salvation, will hear the gospel, will hear the truth, and the Spirit of God will convict them. The Spirit of God will save them. And then they want to partake. The law says if you have workers, for example, if they own the company, and those people were working in their fields, especially back then, they were living in the same household. That person had to get all of them circumcised. Now it's a little bit different, because you can have a big company You don't have to do that. Only the believer has to partake of it. It says, then he may take part like one born in the land. Notice, the alien can now partake of the Lord's Supper, Holy Communion, or the Feast of Passover like one born in the land. Again, the reason for that is now he is an Israelite. Now he is a Jew. And back then, when an individual became a Jew and he was a Gentile, they changed his name and gave him a Hebrew name, a Jewish name. The person was baptized and he became a Jew with all the rights that a Jew has under the covenant of God.